Hey everybody, welcome back to the Comic Wall. It's your girl, the Outcast Angel, and today let's talk about issue 2 of Robert Kirkman's newest series, Die, Die, Die. And holy crap, guys, this series is really living up to its name and to the hype. It really, not only the fact that it was announced like the day before it was coming out, just it's violent as hell, as it says on the cover. Like on this cover, it says, "Holy crap, that guy's nose is totally cut off." Anyway, kind of like how last issue had 10 different variant covers. This one only had 4, and I only got 3 of them because I got the original, cover with no speech bubble, and I got these other ones. Like this one, the last 6 guys had more than a knife. Just saying, that one was pretty funny. These were obviously just my favorite. And so this one also says, "Is this the face of a man who gives up without a fight?" Yeah, no, who goes down without a fight. I'm sorry. And also, I was lucky enough to buy the retailers. I guess the retailers incentive, gold foil variant from the awesome guys at Asylum Comics. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Anyway, let's get right into it. So this issue starts off with some background on the 3 brothers that we met in issue 1. And so turns out it goes, some time ago, a group of identical brothers learned their father was an assassin for hire. When their father learned his sons had discovered his profession, he did the unthinkable. He trained them. In time, they became a group of the most deadly and reliable assassins in the world. Eventually, they grew apart and went their separate ways, but rest assured, if you ever come face to face with any of them, you will die, die, die. And I am loving this. I mean, first off, this spread is, or this page rather, is just amazing, and cars are being loud as hell outside. And like I hope they keep up with this like introduction to the issues as the series goes on, because I think it would be fun. It's enjoyable for me, you know? And so first off, that's brutal, okay? Like if you've ever heard of someone who has daddy issues, this is worse, you know? I mean, granted, they did what they did, and they became pretty good at it. I mean, we saw John at the end of last issue, who kind of just hid away from it all. He didn't really want to be part of that world anymore, I guess. And so I'm a little confused about something, because we've met 3 brothers at the beginning, but in the first panel of this one, there's 4. There's 4 boys right there standing, watching their father kill someone. Who's the 4th one? More importantly, where's the 4th one? In this next scene, we see one of the middle brothers, or I'm not sure. I think he might be the youngest. But we saw him last issue driving up to a big beautiful mansion, possibly plotting to retrieve Paul, who's been captured. And so we see him talking to this woman who's given him some information about where Paul is and what's happening, because turns out Paul is being auctioned off to some of the, obviously, the richest people in the world. And you know, that's pretty brutal. I mean, either they're gonna use him or they're probably gonna destroy him. But I mean, obviously, if you're gonna pay so much money for an assassin like that, you're probably gonna use them, you know? Anyway, he's talking to this woman and saying, "No one can know I'm here." She's like, "I completely understand." Not completely. And he shoots her in the face. So I wasn't expecting that. Obviously, this brother doesn't have that much, I guess, regard for whoever he works with. So he might be one of the worst of the 3 or 4. But no, we don't get his name, and I can't find it. Anyway, he uses her phone to her phone gets a call from someone else that he obviously knows, because he tells her how, or tells them how they're gonna set up probably her partner to take the fall for her murder, and just for the plan of what's going on or what's gonna go down in order to retrieve his brother. And so uh, he's thought this out. He's obviously very experienced in this, in doing this type of thing, you know. And in this next scene, we see John, one of the other brothers, who was picked up by Nate to try and retrieve his brother, and Nate's being a bit of an ass. He's saying, "How in the hell do you do that? Nothing. You did absolutely nothing. You sat there for an entire 12-hour flight with nothing to read, nothing to do, no sleep. Like, you're just sitting there in the same position like a fucking statue." And John goes into something interesting because he says, "I was thinking, nobody does that anymore. The world we live in doesn't allow us to think. It tries to distract us. It tries to make us think things that we wouldn't usually think. You know, it puts ideas in our head. So I appreciate the ability to think for my own, and to have the ability to think in the first place, you know?" In this next scene, we see Senator Lipschitz. We saw her at the beginning of last issue with some pretty questionable, I guess, behaviors, because I don't know, I'm not sure I appreciate this all that much, because they're kind of painting her out to be some kind of like overly sexualized character, you know. But I mean, I don't know, it's a story. I'm just gonna take it for what it is. Anyway, turns out she's getting some very special attention by one of these other senators, and turns out I think his name is Bernard, I guess. And she gets a knock on the door from her assistant saying, "Senator Barnaby is here to see you." And so Bernard kind of just gets dressed and leaves in a hurry. And so Barnaby is an interesting character. He's a tiny little old man, and you know, he's just poking fun at the way Lipschitz, I guess, chooses her guys, you know. Anyway, Lipschitz is obviously not in the mood to deal with this crap, because turns out Barnaby might be some kind of facilitator of whatever operation Lipschitz is in charge of, in which she's the one who's kind of been sending Paul, our original assassin, to do all the dirty work, you know. Obviously they assassinate people who are getting in the way of good things, or just, you know, getting in the way, you know. And so Barnaby is pretty much saying, like if you keep messing up, I'll cut this off, like, now. Like, there's no argument about it. Next, we see this unnamed brother spying on John and Nate, in which John's trying to get some information out of Nate. Obviously, he's worked with them before, because he's talking about Connie, or Senator Lipschitz, and he's trying to figure out, like, why, you know, what are they doing in the first place that led to this, because obviously they've been a little reckless, I guess. Anyway, we see Nate here putting together some explosives, and so I guess this is his expertise, either weapons or possibly explosives, because he seems really happy with explosives. Anyway, we get a little background on Nate him as well, because John goes into this rant saying, "I know you better than that. I know why you were recruited, why you killed your superior officer. Not a lot of agents are recruited out of secret prisons. You're special, Nate. You're the bullet who gets approval of each and every destination. You don't want to tell me? Fine. I wouldn't be here if I didn't know whatever you were doing, sanctioned or not, you were trying to do some good." So obviously Nate isn't just some kind of, like, dumb you know, soldier, you know, following orders blindly and whatever. He needs to know what he's doing, why he's doing it, and how he's gonna do it. Now we're at this castle where this auction is supposed to be taking place, and we see a whole lot of like really rich people, well, obviously rich people, fancy cars, possibly like high generals or like presidents or something. I don't know. And then we see this guy coming out of a limo and taking a knife through the head. That was intense. I kind of screamed at that because I was like, what? It was weird. Anyway, we see this absolutely gorgeous lady, and she walks out, and the first guy she sees, she's like, you're my date now. Do not embarrass me. And so one of the other, I guess, bouncers or whatever, guards at this castle, tells two of these other suits to get rid of this body, and turns out one of these suits is this unnamed brother, and I'm gonna keep calling him the unnamed brother because we don't have a name for him. They didn't say anything about him last issue, and they haven't really said anything this issue. Now we see John and Nate scoping out the castle, but as they're doing this, an explosion rocks the castle, and Nate's like, don't look at me, that's not one of mine, I've been with you this whole time. His face here is just so goofy because he's like, it's I love it. Anyway, now we get a glimpse at this auction where obviously everyone's panicked because of this explosion, and so people are bidding a lot for Paul, because the announcer continues saying, bidding stopped at $3 million. Do I have some? And then someone says 10 million, and turns out it's this woman who killed her first date, and she says that is 10 million US dollars. I trust I have no competing bids. In light of the current situation, I have called for my helicopter to meet me on the roof. Please escort my purchase there immediately. And so they just go with it. She won the auction, and the most hilarious thing is that the guy she kind of wrangled to come along with her is, she's like, you will also accompany me. I'm keeping you. I like you. You smell nice. We will do sex things together. Okay. and he's just, okay, I'll go with it, whatever. Obviously, I mean, she's a very beautiful woman, so he would, you know, I mean, first off, he's kind of just going with that. I'm not sure how he feels about this or if he even wants to, but, you know, way to go. But I mean, it's just a funny situation that he's stuck in. Now we see Paul being escorted up to the roof, and we see his brother is actually one of the guys carrying him up, or leading him up there. But as they get up there, he kills this other suit and continues to lead John, I'm sorry, Paul, John Paul, that's funny, Paul up to the roof with the woman who bought him. And as they're going up, we see John and Nate have made their way into the castle and are trying to, well, obviously they know that they're leading him up to the roof, so Nate kind of just shouts out their orders, and John kind of gives him shit about that, but turns out he was lining up everyone to shoot them, you know. But the thing is, they're both shooting at their knees. They're not killing them. And so obviously this is bad because they can still shoot when their knees are shot out, you know. Now we're on the roof, and this unnamed brother actually kills this new boyfriend of this woman. And I think actually her name was, or her title was, what was it? Baroness Sokovia of Castle Lakva. That's you know, I'm not even gonna try. So the Baroness is pissed, and so she goes to try and kill the brother, but Paul takes her out, takes off his blindfold, and turns out he knows that this is his, well, obviously he knows this is his brother, but he says, "You didn't come here to rescue me, did you, brother?" And the brother says, "No, I did not." And so we see this fight between Paul and his brother, and it's intense to see this because they're obviously very equally matched, but I don't understand why they be attacking each other. I mean, John's over here trying to save Paul what's this guy doing, you know? And so, all the while, John and Nate are kind of pinned down trying to escape, and of course Nate throws his explosives and everything, and they manage to get free. But as that's going on, Paul has managed to overpower his brother, only to get shot. And holy shit, he gets shot, like, straight through the chest. And this is crazy because, holy crap, he's gone. He's done. At least I think. And so the brother kind of just drags him over to the edge of the castle and throws him off. He says, sorry to do that to you, Paul, but you're always my least favorite. My least favorite. There's like two. I'm still kind of trying to work out why there's four, if there are four brothers, but now there's three because one's dead. Sorry. Anyway, the brother sees the Baroness's helicopter landing, and so he strips down, messes up his hair, trying to make himself look like Paul, up to cutting off his own nose. And I'm not going to show that because that's a little too brutal. And just holy crap! And the pilot is even like, "Did you just?" And he ends up taking the knife to the chest, and he's dead. Anyway, the brother kind of waits on the roof for John and Nate to come up, and so they think he's Paul. They think he's Paul, and this is I'm just so confused by this. Anyway, the brother takes on the role of Paul, and so he's like, John, you come out of hiding to rescue little old me. I'm flattered. Nate, get us out of here. I'd fly this thing myself, but the fight opened my wound, and I think we're going to pass out soon. Holy shit. And so Nate falls for it, obviously, but I have a feeling that John kind of knows that this isn't Paul, because he kind of takes a while to join them. I don't know. I think John has a better sense of intuition than obviously Nate, you know? And so they take off in the helicopter, and the Baroness wakes up right after this, and so she's obviously screwed. And so she calls someone saying, I lost him. Someone working on the inside interfered. I regret to tell you this, as I am not accustomed to failure. Were you to desire a punishment, this has already cost me a helicopter and a boyfriend. But turns out the person she was calling was Senator Barnaby. And so he's just like, two things that practically grow on trees. I will allow you to live long enough to make this up to me. You have my word. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm working. And turns out he's golfing with the president. And I actually think this is President Obama, because just the shape of, just the way he's drawn kind of here in this first panel where we see him, and obviously he's black, so I don't know. I'm pretty sure this is just a nod to President Obama, and I just think that's hilarious. Anyway, that's the end of this issue and the end of this video. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys liked it, and if you did, drop a like, show the love. If you guys have any predictions as to where this is gonna go, or just, you know, if you want to talk about this issue, drop them down in the comments. It's getting a little lonely down there, you know? And so, you know, help a girl out. Hit that subscribe button to get more of my videos. Ring the bell to get notifications of when I post new videos, so that way you guys stay updated and don't miss out. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.